Recovery Queen Melissa presents Tales from the Trap, speaking to ghosts.
This is called I Didn't Escape, I Survived. The Truth About the Industry. Part 1. Let's cut the bullshit. Nobody escapes the sex trade. You survive it. You crawl out bloody, different. You leave pieces of yourself behind, and sometimes they don't grow back. The slide in. They ask, what made you get into it? Like it was a choice, like it was a career, like it was a dream that I had dreamt up when I was 9. But the truth is I was strung out, living on the streets, addicted, alone, no family calling, no home waiting, just withdrawal and concrete. And then someone said, you want to make $200 in an hour? And I was starving, remember, not for food, but for a fix. So yeah, I did it once, and then again, and then again. And then again, and then it wasn't even a choice anymore. It was a cycle, a system, a sentence. Part 2, the street game. People think it's glamorous. They think of pretty women. They think of high heels and red lipstick, but it's not. It's waiting in alleyways at 3 a.m. It's going to war with your body. It's half your clients not even bothering to take off their wedding ring. It's grown men calling you baby while you're shaking in the backseat of a car that smells like old man cologne and broken promises. It's praying you don't catch anything or anyone for that matter. And let me say this, it doesn't matter if you were working out of motels or behind dumpsters, you're still disposable in everybody's eyes. Part 3, the mask. They don't pay for sex, they pay for silence. They pay for the way that you look at them. They pay for the way that you go numb on command. They pay for your ability to split yourself into 2 people and pretend the pain isn't personal. You become so good at pretending you forget to feel. You forget how to scream, and you forget that your body is even yours. Part 4, a pimp's power and the lie of protection. He didn't look like a pimp, Sweet smile, nice hoodie, told me I was special, told me I was the most beautiful girl on the stroll. Now, instead of strangers on a block, it was men that he chose. Rates he set, money he took. And if I didn't make enough, he'd remind me exactly what he would do to me. Maybe not fists all the time, but sometimes it was just that look to remind me, remember what happened last time. When you attack me, throw me to the ground, rip all the clothes from my body and steal whatever I had on me. Because when you're an addict, you're already looked at like trash by everyone. So who are you going to complain to? You start thinking maybe this is just my life now, that maybe you were made for this. Maybe this is all you'll ever be. You start telling yourself, I'm just surviving, but really you're dying in slow motion. And the worst part, you don't even care, because by that point, death feels like it would be peace. Part 6, who even am I? You forget who you were before, before the streets, before the aliases, before you learned how to smile while dying inside. You forget your favorite color, even. Forget what makes you laugh, or what your own voice sounded like before it got trained to be fake. You stop recognizing yourself in mirrors because all you see is someone built for damage, built for money, built to be used. And when people say you're not that, you're more than your past, you laugh, because for years your past was the only thing that was paying the fucking bills, paying for your drug habit. They call it the life, but it's not a life. It's a prison with glitter on the bars. It teaches you how to dress up trauma and call it power, how to weaponize your pain and call it independence. You learn how to control the room, but lose control of yourself. You become the queen of pretend, and you wear the crown like it fits perfectly. But behind closed doors, you're a girl with track marks, in a room that smells like fear, and no one left to call, who isn't charging by the hour. Part 8, the law doesn't save you. And this is what I'm talking about when I say there's nobody to complain to, nobody to tell, because you think the cops are there to help you. Oh, baby, sometimes they're your clients. A lot of times they are. Sometimes they're the ones pushing you to do tricks. Sometimes they're just another threat on a long list of men who want something from you. And then when they finally charge you, you're not a survivor, you're a statistic, a number, a record, a case they close and walk away from. They never ask who pimped you out, who raped you, who coerced you into sleeping with 5 men a night just so you can afford a motel or some fentanyl. They don't care because to them, you're just a hooker. To them, you chose this. To them, you're disposable. Part 9, family don't understand. When you try to go home after all of that, try sitting across your mom while she makes small talk and avoids the elephant in the room, the one wearing heels and smelling like regret. You try hugging your child without them flinching because your love has been absent for far too long. You try talking to people who say, well, at least you're out of it now, as if getting out undoes what was done. They think once you stop, you're fixed, I guess. But what they don't see are the nights you can't sleep, the intimacy issues, the hypervigilance, the way you still lock the bathroom door even when nobody else is home. You don't just walk away from that life, you carry it. It's in your skin, in your breath, in the way you flinch when someone touches you. Part 10, the collapse. There was a night, I remember it too well. I was alone, not in a telly, not in a car. I was in my own apartment. Bare mattress, blinds half broken, 3-day-old takeout, withdrawal pulling my spine into knots. I looked around and I didn't see a future, just walls that have heard too many names that weren't my own, just memories of being someone else for far too long. And I remember thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe I just dissolve here quietly. Another girl who disappears without a funeral. But something shifted, not something magical, not an epiphany, not some inspirational moment, but just a thought. What if? What if I actually try? Part 11, rock bottom wasn't the end. I didn't rise like a phoenix, I crawled out on bloodied knees, with everything in me screaming to go back because the unknown felt scarier than the hell that I knew. Recovery wasn't a sunrise. It was a fucking demolition, a tearing down of the lies I told myself to survive. I didn't wake up one day healed. I woke up shaking. I woke up sick. I woke up screaming in silence because I didn't know how to live clean. I didn't know how to sit with myself without running, without using, without selling. So for the first time, I went a week without working or using. I wanted to peel my fucking skin off because it felt too loud, too real. But I stayed somehow. I fucking stayed. Part 12, the shame never shuts up. Let's talk about the shame. The kind that clings to your bones even after your body's clean. The kind that whispers you'll always be a fucking whore when you try to hold your head up high. I'd be washing dishes and suddenly I'm back in the telly with my eyes closed and my soul somewhere else. Or I'm walking through Walmart and I see a man who used to buy me smiling with his kids and wife. Like he didn't once hand me cash to shut the fuck up and spread my legs and I'd freeze. Because the world doesn't see them as monsters, but they see me as caution tape. They see me as the dirty one. What the fuck? You don't get to crucify the girl who was just trying to survive in a system that made her a commodity. You don't get to shame me for doing what I had to do to stay alive. Part 13, reclamation. I don't owe anybody pretty. Not my story, not my healing, not my motherhood, not my redemption. I come back messy, fucked up, crying in my mom's arms after years of silence, sleeping for days because my body didn't know how to rest without fear. I relearned how to eat, even how to feel, how to love without keeping a weapon under my pillow. I learned how to be touched without bracing for pain, how to look in the mirror without seeing a product of everything I had done to myself. how to see my kids without guilt ripping me apart. I started saying things out loud like, I think I was trafficked. I was abused. I was a drug addict. I was in the sex trade. But not with shame, but with ownership. Because if I can say it out loud, maybe the girl still out there hiding behind her fake name and her numb eyes can say it too. Part 14, the comeback. People ask me now, how do you do it? I don't have some cute quotable answer, bruh. I did it ugly. I did it through courtrooms and CPS visits. I did it through panic attacks in the grocery store and reliving shit in my sleep that nobody talks about out loud. I did it because my kids needed me, because I needed me. I did it because I couldn't fucking die that way. And now I come here and I tell the truth. I tell the truth about out there because nobody ever does. Nobody tells the truth about what goes on out there. I do. On camera, on a mic, to anyone who will listen. Not because I want to be famous or anything, not because I want an applause, but because there are girls still out there who think they're beyond saving, that think that is their fucking destiny. And I need them to hear this. I need them to hear this right now. You're not. That is not your destiny. You're not destined to be a missing poster or dead in a trap or a ditch somewhere. I thought that for so long, and it's such fucking bullshit. Part 15, if you're still in it. If you're still in it, out there working, using, hiding, survive, baby girl, I know. I know the mask you wear. I know the way your heart flinches when they unzip. I know how you tell yourself you'll stop after this one, but there's always one more. I know what it's like to be addicted to the money, the pain, the numbness, the chaos. I know you think you're too far gone, but listen to me. You're not. You can still come back, even if your family gave up, even if your record is long, even if you hate yourself right now. I'm not here to judge you, bro. I was you. I'm here to tell you you're not broken, you're not wounded, you're not dirty, you're a fucking survivor. And you're allowed to want more than what you're doing. Part 16, the woman I am now. Today I am a mother. I'm a creator, I'm a voice, I'm a woman who made it out of something designed to bury me, to kill me. I drive my daughter to school, I answer emails, I make dinner, I laugh at every ordinary moment. It's scary because I know what it costs me to get here. So every time I say I love you without guilt in my chest, it's redemption. Every time I hold space for someone else and don't flinch, that's healing. Every time I tell my story and don't sugarcoat the pain, that's power. Part 17, closing. So no, I didn't escape. I survived. I survived the streets, the men, the drugs, the system, the labels, the silence. I survived me. And I'm still here, scarred, shaky some days, stumbling over my words a lot of the times, but solid, alive, real. And if you hear nothing else in this 15 minutes, hear this. You don't have to be ashamed of how you survived. But you do get to rewrite what survival looks like. And for me, it looks like this. It looks like being a mom, a mic, a platform, a purpose, and a past that no longer owns me. This is called The Night the Snow Tried to Bury Me. Part 1, The Bender. I didn't get out of jail and turn my life around, you know. I got out of jail and I turned my life inside out. I hit the streets like I had something to prove, like I'd missed too many hits, like the world owed me a month's supply of chaos. Fentanyl and crack, that was the routine. That was the rhythm. Wake up if I did, get high if I could, and survive if it worked out that way. My apartment wasn't a home. It was a revolving door of ghosts. Strangers in and out, names I didn't ask for, men I didn't trust, eyes watching me while I slipped further into the kind of numb that doesn't come with peace. And I was robbing people. I was setting them up, acting like I was in the game, but I wasn't. I was hollow. It was just muscle memory and survival mode. I wasn't hustling. I was unraveling. I don't even know how long it lasted. Time didn't really mean shit. It was just another day, another hour, another hit, another body in my bed, another flickering light bulb reminding me, did I pay the bill or not? But the high was still there, still running the show. And then there was this guy. He'd been at my place for days, wouldn't leave, wouldn't sleep, just lingered, feeding off of my wreckage like it was keeping him alive, too. I must have been fucked right up because I did something rare. I reached out to my buddy. I called Kevin about an hour and a half away. It didn't even make sense. I don't remember what I said, don't remember how the words even left my mouth, but I know that I called him. I know I said something that made him get in his car at 3 a.m. That night felt like a nightmare in reverse, like I was slipping through layers of static. And then part 2, rock bottom in a nightgown. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, witching hour, when the world gets real quiet so the dead can speak. My landlord was just out taking her dog for a walk, just normal shit, routine, leash in hand, step soft against the snow. And then Kevin pulls up. Right then, right fucking there, both of them, same time, like God finally gave a fuck. And me, I was in a snowbank, in a fucking nightgown, no coat, no shoes, not even the decency of dignity. I don't know how I got there. I lived on the fucking 6th floor, the 6th fucking floor, not a single memory of it. Not a whisper of the stairs, not the elevator, not broken glass, no bruises I can make sense of. Just cold, biting, crawling cold, snow hugging my body like it wanted to keep me, like it was ready to cover me for good. And then Kevin, she said he didn't panic, didn't flinch. He had Narcan in the truck because addicts like us don't go anywhere unarmed anymore. Not against the streets, not against death. They hit me once, twice, again. I came back, then slipped, came back, then slipped. It took more than one dose to bring me out of whatever fucking abyss I was in. And when I opened my eyes, I didn't see heaven. I didn't see hell. Just lights, cold air, and Kevin's voice somewhere in the background pulling me back from the edge like it was nothing new to him. Part 3, the Narcan and the hospital. I guess I was out for a while. I was in and out of it at the hospital, fading like a broken signal. 1 minute, I was opening my eyes. The next, I was back in some dream. I remember falling in the room, hitting my head on the sink. The nurses picking me back up, dead weight, putting me back in the bed. I don't remember getting there. I don't remember the ride, just tubes, IVs, a gown that didn't close in the back, voices I didn't recognize, saying words I couldn't hold on to. And then nothing. And then everything. It's funny how you don't notice silence until it replaces noise, until there's no screaming, no lighters flicking, no glass cracking beneath boots, just sterile walls and beeping machines, and the realization that you almost didn't wake up. They discharged me the next morning, didn't give me shoes, didn't give a shit. I took the bus in a hospital gown, barefoot, cold, hollow, looking like death, decided not to finish the job, but still left the fingerprints all over me. People stared, but I didn't care. Let them fucking stare. They weren't there when I was dying. They weren't the ones in the snow or the hospital bed or the crack den that I called home for a minute. I got off the bus, walked barefoot to my building, still reeking of disinfectant and shame. Part 4, the aftermath. My landlord had my keys, my phone, looked at me like she'd already grieved me and didn't quite know how to look at me alive. She told me what happened, how Kevin just showed up, how she'd found me out there like a body dumped by life itself, how they thought I was dead, how Kevin had Narcan in his truck like he knew. And maybe he did, because addicts know. We don't say it, but we know when one of us is circling the drain. She said, he saved your life. I didn't have anything else to say back, no words big enough, no breath steady enough, because how do you say thank you to the person who yanked you out of a grave before the dirt hit your chest? 6 months in sobriety, and I was still figuring out how to be alive, still shaking, still fighting ghosts, and then I heard, Kevin, He was dead. Overdose. Just like me. Almost. The same hands that pulled me back were the ones the world couldn't save. Part 5, reflection. I still think about that night, how snow tried to bury me, how death showed up and left empty-handed. I didn't deserve to survive, but I did. And that haunts me just as much as it heals me. Why me? Why not Kev? Maybe that question never gets answered. Maybe it's not supposed to, but I carry him with me in every post, every podcast, every time I tell this story, every breath in my lungs, because he made sure that I kept it that night. People talk about rock bottom like it's a metaphor. Mine was freezing. Mine was barefoot in the snow. Mine was being dragged back by someone who didn't even stick around long enough to see what I'd become. So when they ask, how did I do it? How do I stay clean? How did I rebuild? How did I make it out? I tell them this. Because someone died so I could live. Because someone saved me just in time. Because I woke up and I never fucking looked back. This is called I Live Where the Crosses Grow. Part 1, The Vanishing. I left it all behind. A 3-bedroom townhouse. 2016, closets full of memories I couldn't afford to carry, drawers stuffed with grief I didn't have time to unpack, and obituary cards that used to line my shelves like trophies of heartbreak. All gone. I didn't sell anything. I didn't pack anything up. I didn't even say goodbye. I just walked with the clothes on my back, lungs full of dope and nothing left to lose but my last few hours of consciousness. Addiction doesn't just steal your life, it burns your history. And when I got sober, I looked around, there was nothing left but the silence of the dead and the echoes of people no one remembers but me. And I started counting, but the number got too high, too real, too ugly. Part 2, the shrines we build. Now I build shrines in the quiet, not with candles, not with flowers, but with what I've managed to salvage. Obituary cards I've started collecting again, names I'll never hear on the news, faces I'll never scroll past on trending pages, by people who lived, who mattered, who died. The ones I used with, the ones I laughed with, slept beside in trap houses where there was nothing but piss on the floor and loyalty in our blood. And one day I posted a photo of what I'd built, a small shrine, tattered, uneven, but mine. And my friend messaged me, my girl, out of nowhere, said, I've been holding on to Santana Gibson's card for years. I still have the obituary. That was in the paper. I know you two were tight. Tight? She was my best friend. My sister in smoke and survival, the one who made me feel like I wasn't crazy when the whole world was burning. And just like that, a piece of her came home. She said she'll send it in the mail. It'll be back in my hands, back into my memory, because we lose everything out there, everything. But sometimes the universe finds a way to give us one small piece back. And that's enough to build a shrine from. Part 3, the white crosses. In my city, downtown, there's a little plot of land no one really talks about unless you've buried someone there without a casket. Just white crosses lined up like bones, stacked like shame, a graveyard with just names, numbers, and grief. I walk through it sometimes, not like a tourist, but like a survivor, walking through a war zone long after the war is over. But those crosses, they're not strangers. They're not statistics. They're my people. I recognize the ghost of their voices in the breeze. I hear old inside jokes between the cracks of the wood. I see initials carved in places only I would look. I know who they are, even if no one does, even if the world forgot. And that's why I stay clean. Because if I forget them too, who the fuck is left? Part 4, messages from the dead. I would get messages sometimes in early recovery from old users, people I shared needles with, people I held while they detoxed, people who saw me nod off in places I shouldn't have survived in. They'd hit me up like casual, hey, you need dope, and I'd freeze because they know I'm sober. They know I got out. That's the thing. When you're still in it, you don't see boundaries. You just see someone who used to speak the same language as you. And I'd block them every time because I had to. And then, like clockwork, a week would go by, a month, and someone would message me, this time to say, they're dead. Same person I just blocked, dead, overdosed, alone. And it happens again and again and again. I don't know how many times. I've stopped counting. But all I know is this. I used to bury people with my hands. Now I bury them with silence and shaky hands hovering over the block button. Then I'll write their name in a notebook because if I can't save them, at least I'll remember them. And that has to count for something. Part 5, what it means to stay. Sobriety isn't soft. It's not peace and yoga and green juice. It's rage. It's grief. It's waking up and realizing you're one of the only ones left. It's holding on to obituary cards like they're relics from another universe. It's walking barefoot through memories that still feel warm because they died too fucking recently. It's looking at a picture of a shrine and knowing you should have been on it. But I'm not. I'm still here. And some days that feels like a blessing, and others it feels like a fucking betrayal. I stay sober to honor them, to be the one who made it when none of us were supposed to. I speak their names so they don't vanish. I tell our story so people know we existed, not just as addicts, not just as cases, but as people, humans, fucked up, beautiful, messy, hilarious, broken, loyal people. And I hope, God, I hope they're proud of me. Wherever they are, if any of that's real, because if they're watching, if Santana's still got her eyes on me, if Kevin's still standing in the doorway of my last good decision, I want them to see I'm alive. Still clean, still speaking, still holding space for all the ones who never made it out. This isn't just my recovery, it's their legacy, their altar, their resurrection in every breath I take, because I live where the crosses grow. And I will never let them be forgotten. This is called You Didn't Die, and I'm Proof. A letter from 2025 Melissa to the ghost still walking the streets. Part 1. You look dead, but you're breathing. I see you crouched in that alley, shivering, burn marks on your lips, eyes glazed over like the world's too sharp to look at. You think no one notices you. You think you've already died, but I see you, Mel. Not as you are, but as who you'll become one day. Because I am you just further down the road, and baby girl, you make it. But fuck, you go through hell first. Part 2, I know where you are. You're not eating. You're using fentanyl and crack just to stay upright. You call it surviving, but we both know you're begging for death to take you gently. There's a stranger in your bed and another knocking at your door. There's vomit in the sink and a rig on the counter, a phone full of missed calls from people who used to love you. You've burned through your last sorry. You've sold what little you have left, and your kids, you haven't seen them in months. You don't even remember how old they are anymore. You say you don't care, but I know better. I know you cry when no one's watching. I know you pray even though you don't believe. Part 3, you're not the villain, but you're not the hero yet. Let's get one thing straight, Mel. You're not a monster. You're not evil, but you're not a fucking victim either. You're lost. You're sick. You're hurting people. You're leaving your daughter on sidewalks and showing up to visits with glossy eyes and dirty hands. You're selling yourself and pretending it's just what you gotta do, and I know it kills you every fucking time. You hate yourself more than anyone else ever could. That's why you keep using to escape you. But listen close. You are not beyond saving. You are not too far gone. There's still something worth dragging out of the fire, Mel. Part 4, I know what's coming. I wish I could stop what's coming, but I can't because it's a part of the price you pay to become me. You're going to lose your place. You're going to get bear-maced in front of your own building. You're going to run barefoot back to your apartment like a wounded animal. You're going to overdose in a snowbank wearing nothing but a nightgown. You won't remember leaving the 6th floor. Your landlord and your friend Kevin, they'll find you. They'll Narcan you. And when you wake up, Kevin will still be alive, but in 6 months, he'll be gone too. You'll wake up in a hospital gown, ride a bus home, barefoot alone, ashamed but alive. And that's when everything changes. Part 5, you won't believe this, but you soon become someone. Let me tell you about the life waiting for you, Mel. You become a mom again, like a real mom. Lunch is packed, doors locked, warmth in the hallway and in the house. You get your daughters back. You show up for them, even when they don't know how to forgive you yet, even when it's hard. You build a podcast with Jamie. You sit in her studio and you tell your truth into a mic so other people don't have to die like you almost did. You talk about recovery and people actually listen. I know it sounds crazy. People you've never met say your story saved their life. And they're not just saying it. Mel, you've become something, not perfect, not healed fully, but real and solid and present. Part 6, your grief will try to bury you. Mel, hundreds of your friends will die. You'll build shrines, hold obituary cards like holy scripture. You'll walk through fields of white crosses and recognize almost all of the names. You'll get DMs from people still using and you'll block them and then you'll hear that they're gone too. You'll carry survivor's guilt like a weight no one can see, but you won't use. Not your drugs of choice. Not once. Not ever again. Because you'll finally know that staying clean is how you honor their names. Part 7. Eden forgives slowly. You're going to go back home. You're going to sit in front of your daughters. Eden. She'll look at you like she doesn't recognize you anymore. She'll say, my sister's got a supermom and all I got was a junkie. It'll break you. But you won't run. You'll stay. You'll listen. You'll show her over time that you're still her mother too. She doesn't trust you now, but one day she will, and the trust will be your everything. Part 8, if I could reach you, I'd hold you, but I can't. I wish I could hold you, hold your face on those nights when you want to disappear, tell you you're going to be okay, tell you you're going to matter again. I wish I could stop you from making that next call, from walking into that next trap, from crying alone on a floor that smells like piss and bleach. But all I can do for you is keep living so you have someone to become. I'm here, babe. I'm waiting and I'm proof. You didn't die. You don't die. You become me. And I'm proud of all of that. This is called To the First Girl Who Ever Loved Me. Part 1, I was just a kid too. Cadence Claudia Wilcox, my first heartbeat outside my chest. The moment they put you in my arms, I knew love could be terrifying. I was 20 years old, but emotionally I was a child with a baby in my arms, still figuring out how to survive, and suddenly I was supposed to teach someone else how to live. Your dad, he wasn't gentle. My body wore his rage like bruises you didn't understand. You could look at me like I was magic, and I used to wonder how long it would take for the truth to steal that look from your face. By the time you were 4, I had already let you down. I packed up your future and handed it to my parents because I was in no shape to give you stability. Oxys had its hand around my throat. and the streets opened up like they'd been waiting for me. I told myself you'd be better off, but I lied. I was trying to protect you, but all I did was disappear. Part 2, in and out like a ghost. I came back sometimes for visits, for pictures, for birthday parties where I'd smile too hard to hide how empty I felt. I tried, babe. God, I tried, but trying isn't parenting. Trying doesn't tuck you in at night, I know. When you were 7, I got pregnant again. I found a little bit of a footing. I got better for a minute, built something that resembled a home. You got a sister. You got to have a version of me that could show up sometimes. But 2016 came and the bottom dropped out again. I spiraled in and out of jail, living in a haze of concrete walls and a street light of shadows. I got pregnant again. I gave him away, and you were watching. You saw it all. And I know now that that broke you too. Part 3, you were feeding me while I was dying. I remember when you started high school, I should have been celebrating you, shopping for backpacks, taking first day photos, driving you to class like a mom who's got her shit together. But instead, you were meeting me downtown just to feed me, because I wouldn't eat, because I was too high to care, too broken to even ask for help, so you brought it anyway. Food, time, love, grace. You gave it all while I gave you scraps. I didn't know the cops were watching, didn't know child protection was going to call my mom, didn't know I was about to vanish again, and you didn't either, until you got that call. You were sitting in Tim Hortons, surrounded by friends, laughing one minute, and then the phone rings. And just like that, your mom's gone again. Not dead, but locked up, facing years. I know you sat there frozen in front of your cup of coffee while your childhood fell apart. Part 4, the mace, the madness, and the return. When I got out of jail, I know I didn't stay clean. I went on a bender that should have killed me. Fentanyl, crack, my apartment full of strangers, robbing people just to stay high. Then came the bear mace. My face was burning, my lungs full of chemicals deep into my fucking soul. I woke up like 5 days later. Didn't even know if I wanted to keep going, but something pulled me back, and that something was you, I guess. You, Aria, Emily, 3 little girls who still called me mom, even though I hadn't earned it. I came home, scarred, shaking, half alive, and you were there. You looked at me like maybe this time I'd stay. And for whatever fucking reason, bitch, I did. I stayed, I got clean, I got honest. I started crawling out of the hell I'd brought you into. Part 5, the resentment you carry. You told me once my sisters get a supermom and I got a junkie, and that gutted me. Not because it hurt my feelings, but because it was right. You were right. To get the mom who packs lunches, the mom who picks them up from school, the mom who doesn't just disappear when the pressure gets loud. You got CAS visits. You got courtrooms. You got a mom who looked like death and smelled like the street. You think I don't like you. You think I love them more, but baby, if you only knew, you were my first love. The only one I wanted to get it right for. The reason I even tried to change the fire in me before I even knew what motherhood meant. You don't see it now, maybe. Maybe you never will, but I adore you. Even in your pain, even when you hate me. And I know I've given you 1,000 reasons to question that, because I failed more times than I can count, but I will never stop fighting to show you who I really am now. Part 6, what I want you to know. You are not forgotten, Eden. You are not less. You are not just the girl who got the worst version of me. You are my strength, my reason, my anchor, and my mirror. I know your scars. I know your silence. I know how you flinch when we get too close, because some part of you still waits for me to disappear. I'm here. I've been here. I'm staying, even when it's hard, even when you scream, even when the past crawls into the room and we don't know what to do with it. You're not perfect. Neither am I. But maybe that's what makes this real. We're building something together. We've built something together, brick by jagged brick, not a fairy tale, but a home. I hope one day you'll look back and see that even when I was gone, even when I was dying, you were the heartbeat that kept me tethered to life. I love you, Eden. I love you, Cadence, Claudia Wilcox, first of her name, daughter of fire, keeper of my soul. You are the beginning of every story that ends in me staying clean, and I will never stop trying to be your mother, the mother that you deserved from the start. I love you today, tomorrow, and always. Okay, so I have had this written for quite some time. Some of you, if you're watching the podcast, if you know my story, you know that I have a 10-year-old daughter who doesn't live with me full time. I share her with her aunt and her dad. And her dad's sister, when her dad and I were out in active addiction, took in my daughter because my mom couldn't do it anymore. My mom was struggling really, really bad. So his sister stepped up and has had Emily since she was almost 3. So this is a letter to her that I want to share. It's called To the Woman Who Raised My Baby When I Could Not. Before I say anything else, I want to say thank you. Part 1. Angela. I don't know where to begin because no amount of thank you will ever balance the scale. But I'm going to try. Before I get into the history, before we talk about custody papers and the rehabs and the tears, before we get into resentments and fear, before we talk about the long nights and the no contact, I need you to hear this loud and clear. You saved her. You picked up what I couldn't carry. You stepped in when the family didn't know what to do. You didn't ask for applause. You didn't make speeches. You just loved her. Loved my baby like she was your own. But you never tried to erase me in the process. Do you know how rare that is? Do you know how fucking sacred that is? Even when you probably hated me, even when I gave you every reason to, you corrected her when she called you mom. I'll never forget when you told me this. Even when I was gone, even when you thought I was probably dead, even when you wanted nothing to do with me, you still gave her the right to love me. You didn't owe me that. You didn't owe me anything, but you did it anyways, and I will never forget that. Part 2, the day you stepped in. Angela, I know it wasn't planned. It never is. Nobody ever says, hey, I think today's the day I'm going to become my niece's second mom. But life doesn't wait for people to be ready, and neither does addiction. My mom was struggling, and I was gone, not physically, but I had left the room a long time ago. And there you were. No cape, no warning, just love in your hands and a terrified little girl who needed somebody steady. You picked her up, carried her through the fire I was too deep inside to even see. You weren't just babysitting, you were mothering. Even when you didn't know how to explain it, even when you didn't know how long it would last. And when she started calling you mom, you could have let her. You could have claimed it. You could have said, well, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to be her mom. But instead you said, no, baby, I'm auntie. And Angela, let me just say that right there, that made us family in a way blood never could. Part 3, when you heard I overdosed. I don't know if you even remember this, Ange, but I do. I don't remember which overdose. You know, there were far too many to count, but when you heard about one of them, you called me. You didn't wait. You didn't go numb. You didn't sit in judgment, but you called. You said, Melissa, you need to talk to your daughter. I know you were scared that day, Ange. I know you thought the next call you were going to get was from my mom saying I wasn't here. And you were going to have to explain to a toddler that her real mom died with a needle in her arm. That call broke something in me, Ange, not because I was ready to change yet, because you know I wasn't, but because you gave Emily the chance to hear my voice before it was gone forever. You made that happen. I don't think I thanked you then. I probably didn't even say much, but I'm saying it now. Thank you. Part 4. I thought you hated me. You know, Ange, for a long time, I thought you hated me, and maybe you did for a while, and I don't blame you, not for a second. But you never said it. I could feel it in the way that you would look at me like I was a question you didn't even want to answer out loud. I know you were raising the baby that I never should have left behind, and you were watching me disappear, relapse over and over and over again, crawling in and out of jail just to disappear all over again. You were wiping tears for pain that I had caused. You were explaining things that you had no business having to explain to a child. And I thought you hated me. But the truth is, I hated me. I hated that you were doing the job I was supposed to. I hated that she was safe in your arms and not my own. I hated that I wanted her back, but I knew I wasn't ready. And I hated that deep down inside, you were the best place for her. You had every right to feel the way you felt. Yet you still treated my daughter with grace, with structure, and with love. You didn't have to like me, but you never made her hate me. And that there is love in its purest form. Part 5. I tried to take her back. When I finally got sober, I thought it meant I deserved everything back. My rights, my baby, my time machine, and I fought. I fought because I thought that's what mothers do. We fight, right? But I didn't realize that love isn't just about fighting, it's about knowing when to surrender. I know you were terrified that I was going to take her from you, and I understand that now. Because you weren't just raising her, you knew her. You were the one that braided her hair. You were the one that packed her lunches. You handled all the tantrums, all the behavior issues, all the calls from school, all the birthdays, and all the fevers at 3 a.m. You were never babysitting. You were her mom. You were her safe space. And I had to face the hardest truth of them all. The best thing for her wasn't for me to rip her back into my life because I was finally clean. The best thing for Emily was you. Part 6, the day I let go. You know, that day didn't come easy. It came through tears, through therapy, through screaming into pillows about what kind of mother I must be to let someone else raise my daughter. But then I saw her smile, really smile, the kind of smile kids only wear when they feel safe. And I realized you gave her that, not me. I gave her life, but you gave her living. And that day, I let go, not because I stopped loving her, but because I finally loved her enough to stop pretending I could give her something better. I stopped fighting. I gave you my blessing, and I meant it. And something beautiful happened. We stopped being enemies. We became something else. Part 7, what you've given her. You gave her safety, a bedroom that didn't echo with fights, meals that didn't come from strangers, a routine, a rhythm, a childhood. You gave her boundaries without making her feel like a burden. You gave her honesty without poisoning her heart against me. You gave her what I couldn't, and you did it with grace. She has friends. She is confident. She has a sense of humor that doesn't come from trauma, but from being loved consistently. She's got your fire, Ange. That backbone, that wit, that don't fuck with me tone. You don't have to scream to be understood. You made her strong without hardening her. That's a gift I will never stop being in awe of. Part 8, what you gave me. You gave me time, and so much time. Time to fall apart, time to disappear, and then time to come back. You gave me a second chance without asking for any of the credit. You let me rebuild myself without keeping score. You forgave me in the quiet, not with words, but with presence. You invited me back into her life slowly, cautiously, carefully. And when I earned it, you celebrated me. You didn't gatekeep her. You welcomed me in like I was family again, because now we are. Part 9, I see you now. I see you now, Angela. I see all the shit you carried while I was in the streets wondering if the world had forgotten me. I see the way you protected her spirit without destroying mine. I see the strength it took to mother someone else's child and still honor her mom. I see how you've changed too, how this wasn't easy for you, how you took pain and turned it into protection, how you forced your own fears and still chose love. I don't just love you, Ange. I respect you. More than I ever could say in one letter. Part 10, you will always be her other mom, and that's beautiful. I used to think there could only be one mom, that if she loved you, she'd forget me. But now I know love isn't a pie. It doesn't get smaller when it's shared in multiples. She has 2 women who would die for her. One gave her life. The other gave her everything else when I couldn't. And now we do it together, side by side, with no shame, no war, no jealousy, just love. And you are one of the greatest women I'll ever know. In this life I have now, the sobriety, the healing, the home, the peace, it was only made possible because I knew Emily was okay, because you made sure she was okay. So thank you. From the depths of my soul, from the mother in me, from the woman I've become, I love you ever.
Okay. Started the vid?
Yes, the vid started.
Okay, let me just grab my invisible piece of paper. I'm so thankful that you are here and you didn't leave me. And I'm thankful that everyone's here for you today. And I'm thankful that my aunt brought me here. I'm so thankful that you survived and that I don't have to tell people when they ask me where I don't live with my mommy anymore. I don't have to tell them that my mommy's sick.
Dude.